Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
And what's it gonna do?
It doesn't matter how you're doing. Woo! Wheeling, dealing, limousine like jet flying.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Would you please shut the hell up?
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the human rubble.
What up? What up? It's another episode of Keep the Kayfabe. I'm Mike, sitting here with my boys, ready to talk some wrestling. It's bonus content, episode number 35, where we talk about night 2 of WrestleMania. If you haven't listened to our show this past Tuesday, about NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania, go back and check it out. But we're going over night 2 of WrestleMania in Tampa Bay. Let's introduce the boys real quick. Up in Glendale, someone who keeps it regal, Mr. Steve Grobschmidt. How are you, Grobby?
Hey, yo.
I was going to use that one. Changed my mind.
You probably heard by now, but we're doing a survey.
Let's go down to Bayview real quick. Someone who keeps it freshly squeezed, Mr. Matt Michelson. How are you, Matt?
Let me in.
Please.
No, thanks.
I don't know about that.
For the love of God, please kill him again.
And in Bayview also, oh my God, it's Charlie Michael.
Too sweet, whoop whoop. Too sweet, whoop whoop. And another chant that they had going night 2 that they should have. This is awesome. Things that were not even close to awesome.
No.
Fight forever.
Yeah, exactly.
No, thank you.
You still got it.
No, this is horrible.
This is horseshit.
This is atrocious. This is garbage.
All right, let's set the tone early for
Yeah.
WrestleMania night 2.
They set the tone night 2.
Our very special bonus episode, WrestleMania night 2. Wow. I was very optimistic after a great showing on night 1. I thought it was going to be something special. I thought, honestly, everybody would kind of elevate their game and really bring their best. But I don't think the writers got the memo on that. The night started off with Randy Orton and The Fiend. I was like, okay, let's get this horse shit out of the way. It was pretty weird, to say the least. Obviously, Randy goes out there. I mean, we could have another rip on Randy corner here. We'll probably get to that a little bit. But Randy goes out there. But then The Fiend basically goes through this video transformation and is like no longer burned. He's fine. Must have had like a lot of Neosporin and aloe put on his burns, and they're magically all good. Alexa Bliss meets him out there. Or actually, there's a Jack in the Box out there, and Alexa Bliss starts revving up the Jack in the Box. Oh, gee, what's going to happen? The Fiend emerges out of it. I thought that was really dumb. And also, I would be hella pissed off if I was sitting in the front row behind that big Jack in the Box because they didn't move it during the whole match. I mean, if you had paid thousands of dollars, waited a year to see ringside WrestleMania, and my favorite wrestler was The Fiend, and you can't see because of a big stupid prop in the way, which makes me think that they're going to reuse that prop later in the match, which they did. Alexa Bliss sits atop the box, changing her outfit, and now she's got the black shit coming out of her head, kind of like the Ultimate Warrior when he started bleeding black gook out of his head from Pampashango's curse. It's kind of the same shit 30 years later. Distracting the Fiend, therefore one RKO from Randy Orton puts the Fiend away. Randy Orton beats the Fiend after this months and months of headlining build-up on Raw to get to this point. That was our result. It was awful, in my opinion. It was awful. I'll let you boys take the rest.
I actually have always deep down thought The Fiend was a really cool concept. And then the match begins. And that's where everything falls apart. Always. So in this match, though, I think it was interesting. So the Jack in the Box, I agree with you, Mike. It was a little weird, a little hokey. But I think when the Fiend dives off the top of it and clotheslines Randy Orton just kind of suddenly out of nowhere, that was kind of cool. And it kind of set the tone for the match. But immediately it just kind of fell into a, WWE formulaic wrestling match. Which when you have a supernatural being like the Fiend just doesn't work no matter what you do. And what really almost made me laugh, and as I'm trying to, articulate it, is making me laugh a little bit again, is fire wasn't able to stop the Fiend really. But what did was a distraction and an RKO out of nowhere. Like, give me a freaking break, right? Like, of all the things, like that's what defeats the Fiend. Well, that and Goldberg, but WWE wants us to forget about that. So I won't bring that up here. But in short, yeah, this match was really underwhelming. And after the match, post-match, we see Alexa Bliss, kind of like you said, Mike, sitting atop the Jack in the Box with black goo running down her face. The Fiend gets this weird look and is almost like walking towards her, like he notices something about her that's different. But then the lights go out. They're out for a long time. Lights come back on. Nothing's there. Nothing happens. And you hear the crowd slowly start to boo. But right before they start to boo a lot, WWE cuts to a commercial.
Yeah.
So they don't want you to hear them booing the end of the segment. But that's ultimately the feeling I was left with at the end of the segment. So I'm glad there's live crowds yet again here.
Yeah, exactly.
And you notice when they for some stupid reason later in the show, they replayed the whole thing again. Like they kind of showed like highlights from that match, but they cut the booing out.
I actually have that in my notes. I'm like, why the hell did they replay segments from Michael Cole's like switching gears now?
Yeah. And then they cut the booing out, which is classic WWE.
Yes.
No, this is horse shit. I mean, like, I had a theory because I sat there and I mean, without going too far ahead, because we're going to talk about the show, but I wondered why I had such a negative view, and even matches later that I think realistically weren't that bad, but I didn't think were that great. And I think it all came to me this morning, like, because for those of you that watched Stone Cold and Chris Jericho, that outstanding Broken Skull session, they talked about this, and you hear it from wrestlers all the time. If you can't be the main event, if you can't be last, then you want to be first, because first sets the tone, right? First, this is second most important match of the card, and I think that's what this match was. Such shit, and the ending was like Raw-esque. That I went into like it took probably the rest of the show. I just had a negative feeling in my about the whole thing because that tone was such garbage.
Yep. That's why night one was so much
better.
Like I said,
night one, Lashley,
that set tone like, oh shit, this might be different.
Yeah. Wow, they actually did. Yeah, and this one was just like a bad Raw segment.
Yeah, it was just a Sunday Night Raw.
And a fatal mistake in all of this too was they made it in red lighting.
Yeah,
I hate that. Yeah. Didn't they learn their lesson from the last time they did that?
Exactly. So anybody that wants to like, oh, I missed Saturday night because I had something going on. I really want to settle in and watch Sunday night. I have no idea what's going on.
I heard it was
and
good.
You lead off with that, and it's all red, and be like, oh, is this what wrestling is now? I'm turning this shit off right away.
It didn't even look good.
So I don't want to put myself over here, but I do want to read you guys my notes from as I was watching this because it's making me smile a little bit. So for Fiend versus Orton, jumping off the box was a cool spot. And I'm reading this exactly how I wrote it, which is just random thoughts. Was Bray burned so that he could be written off TV to get lean and jacked? LOL. The sleeves and the girdles seem like Vince trying to make him look less fat. Table spot that the Fiend no-sold was impressive. Alexa Bliss blades in its black goo. And a distraction and RKO beats the Fiend, but not being burnt alive. Fans boo at the end when everyone disappears. At least there are people there to boo. So maybe in 1 to 2 years, Vince will go, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this with the Fiend. A lot of thoughts there. A lot of different things. A lot of layers.
Kind of sums it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was a good wrap up.
Yeah. Garbage. Just garbage.
Yeah. So stumbling out of the blocks of night 2, we have another match of Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Special guest Logan Paul, another internet icon, influencer. I mean, we've seen Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. We know the history. We know everything about these guys, their friendship, why they need another WrestleMania match. I don't know. Why they need to put Logan Paul ringside. I don't know. Everything about this just wasn't really interesting. The biggest payoff was at the end, Kevin Owens giving Logan Paul, somebody that old wrestling fans have no idea about, the stunner, which new school wrestlers probably don't know unless they've seen Stone Cold wrestle. So it's just kind of like everything about it was out of sync and didn't make sense. Did you guys get this feeling at all?
I did a little bit for the whole Logan Paul thing. I actually had to look up who this guy was.
I never
Right.
Because
I
I'm
had
one
to
of the
listen
old
to look
school
it up.
wrestling
I
fans.
still don't know who he is.
Me neither. I don't
so-
want to look him up.
Yeah. So from my
An
understanding,
idiot.
one of the biggest YouTube stars there is.
Yep.
And am I right that he does videos on like conspiracy theories and stuff like that? Is that
He's
no.
basically just says anything that will get him paid.
got
And
it.
he literally just kind of, him and his brothers, they literally, how they got famous, they just videotape their whole life and put it on the internet and just do anything and just slowly grind out all these followers over the years. And then, you know, they have like they have it down how to grow. Maybe we should hire him for Keep the Kayfabe,
Got
but
it.
probably out of our price range. But yeah, he's basically kind of like a Kardashian, famous without being famous.
Got it. Well, that totally makes sense. That's WWE at their best. So putting Logan Paul aside, I thought this match was actually really good. I haven't really kept up with Sami Zayn's storyline. The whole conspiracy theorist thing was kind of interesting, at least in the way they pitched it in the video
Right.
package before the match. I think the logic behind putting Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn was kind of lazy, for the lack of a better word, because it's basically Kevin Owens saying, "Oh, I'll knock some sense into him to straighten him out." I mean, anybody could do that, right? So, yeah. But if you have watched WWE or NXT or even Ring of Honor, you've probably seen Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You probably know a little bit about their history as being these two really good friends who came up together through the ranks. And they just put on classic matches every time they get in the ring. And this match was no different. There was a lot of neck spots. That was one of the things that really jumped out to me in this match. Really kept my interest. A lot of really cringeworthy moments with like some of the moves they did. A lot of innovative moves too. So the match itself, I thought, was really good. The whole Logan Paul hook, like, it felt like WWE just trying to shove a celebrity onto the show for the sake of putting another celebrity on the show. That was my take.
Right. Yeah, and they basically just shoved them in there with, you know, two best friends, easy, probably very unrehearsed. I do kind of like how Sami Zayn is resembling Fidel Castro very strongly. I think he
That's a
should
lot.
kind of run with that storyline a little bit more.
Got the look.
Just become a cigar smoking dictator. But let's go with some more smoking. Everybody's favorite stoner, Riddle, was paired up against Sheamus for the United States Championship. I was kind of excited for this one. I was excited to see some singles action out of Riddle. Sheamus getting a big title shot. There was a big botch in this match. Sheamus was going to execute a move towards the end of the match, slipped off the ropes, but being the professional and seasoned veteran that he is, was able to save it, made it look smooth. And it wasn't, Charlie and I think were talking, we're like, do you think that was the move that was going to finish the match? It wasn't, thankfully. They were able to go on and carry on. And Sheamus, your new United States champion. Good for him.
You know what I liked about that moment? It was that you've seen lesser wrestlers like try to do a spot like that. It flubs. So then they try to do it again the exact same way. And it like looks even worse. Like
You're right,
he
Steve.
just completely adapted and he did something else and that worked out great. And I think, and it left you where it's like, oh, maybe that was, you know, they kind of were able to sell it well. No. Yeah, I don't know. I was never a big fan of Sheamus for the longest time, but now I've got like this begrudging respect because the dude just busts ass week after week, month after month, year after year, and he's just dependable. Like he is your ultimate dependable guy. And I think that last night was his reward and he deserved it because Raw has been awful, like by and large, but yet he has been more than holding his own. He had those great matches with McIntyre, and I don't know. I think Riddle's a great talent, but they've just completely, this whole stoner thing is like just so heavy-handed and dumb that I couldn't help but root against him in this match, because not so much him, but just the stupid character he's playing that I think they could tone down a little bit. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure Sheamus isn't going to hold on to it super long, but he definitely deserves it. And I think, at least for me, this kind of at least cleansed the palate a little bit, because the first match was terrible and it really set me off in a negative mood. I thought the second match, which we didn't talk about, the women's match, the tag team match, I thought was equally terrible.
Trash.
I think it was
Trash.
garbage. So I was so angry. And actually, not to spend too much time on the match we just crossed, but I actually came out of the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match thinking it wasn't that good. And then now that I've been thinking about it, I'm like, it probably was fine, but I was so negative.
Oh yeah, exactly. I wasn't into it. Yeah.
So then finally I got to the Sheamus and Riddle match, and then it was legitimately like good and hard hitting, and kind of, at least didn't save the night for me, but at least kind of got me out of my funk after the previous matches.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. Good hard hitting. Like you, I'm kind of sick of this stoner gimmick with Riddle. I mean, I get it. That's how he is as a person too. I think actually my favorite part of this match was the pre-match where Riddle's backstage and bumps into RVD, who in one of my favorite moments in WrestleMania history, gives Matt Riddle some rolling papers, and the crowd pops almost as big as they did for Edge's return.
That was awesome.
Rumble. So yeah, great pre-match for sure.
It's Florida, man. You know they're gonna pop for the weed.
Big time. Well, another title was on the line, the Intercontinental Championship between Apollo Crews and Big E in the first Nigerian drum match.
Where no drums were played.
I think it's going to be the first. It's going to be the first of many drum matches in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what the hell? It was a Nigerian drum match, but it was essentially like a no DQ match. Like they didn't even attempt to hide that.
Well, the way they were billing it,
should have been a kendo stick match.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they were building the match up pre-match, out there, like Apollo Crews was like, my ancestors are gonna be, with me. I thought there was gonna be legit like people playing drums, like making it intense, like when it was like getting revved up, kind of like a scene out of Black Panther when they're like sparring. Or something like that. That honestly could have been kind of cool,
if
something
done different. Right, yeah.
They didn't use one goddamn drum. They
lazy.
What a waste of money, just painting all these drums and having them set aside. They just kind of throw them into them, setting these drums on a table, throwing each other into them. Like, why would you call this match that? If it was just Big E versus Apollo Crews, I can still get down with that. I just wanted to see a little bit more drums.
I agree.
Being used as
like more cowbell
or drumming.
Everybody knows the blacks love those drums in Africa, so that's why. That's why Vince came up with
this has got Vince written all over it.
The blacks, they love the drums.
Hey Vince, can I get Wale to play me in when I come out? Oh yeah, that's good shit. Yeah,
that's authentic.
The blacks, the Nigerians, they love the drums.
Oh yeah, I saw a documentary once where they played drums. That's authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, National Geographic. That's the first time I ever seen titties.
They were topless playing drums.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Vince definitely has his bead.
Decent match. I because I pay so little attention to Raw, I didn't realize that guy that came out to help Apollo Crews has actually been on Raw before.
Yeah,
everybody acted like they'd never seen him before.
Yeah, it's like him and almost. You just remember those dudes? They were the big dudes that were in that Raw Underground sketch. They were both there. It's like I don't know how you try to play that off. Yeah, he's going by some name, Commander or something, or Corporal or Captain.
He's got
something now.
Apollo Crews has his own General Adnan.
Basically, General something, yeah.
When
it's just a disaster. I mean, unless you've been watching that crappy product, what we used to rip on when we first started Keep the Kayfabe was right around when Raw Underground was going on. I never watched it. I just would listen to Charlie's Corners.
Oh yeah.
So I had no clue who this guy was, and why would you? Because what they were putting on TV was a crappy product, so it didn't make any sense. So yeah, this was kind of a botch, a mess of a match, but.
I agree. I thought it was really hard hitting. One positive I will throw out there is I think this was actually the first match in all 2 nights of WrestleMania that had interference in it. Like, how often does WWE have clean finishes in almost every match? I mean, that's so. I don't know that it really helps things or is a saving grace of it, but it is noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they do something. I mean, Apollo Crews obviously is a talented dude. Maybe this springboards it. But I mean, Charlie, did you watch him? What was his name? Uha Nation or something like that?
Yeah. In the Indies.
Did you watch him? Okay.
No, he never was like on Ring of Honor.
I feel like
he was on PWG and done a bunch of them, but he never like really signed up with any small promotion. So I never saw him. I know he was really good in the Indies.
And we saw a glimpse of that in NXT, and we just see a fraction of that in the main roster. That dude can do crazy shit.
Another positive of this match was the entire WrestleMania roster did end up signing the drums, each drum, and they did fundraise and sell the drums.
And they're
and they're building schools in Africa for children by raffling off these drums. Yeah. Nope, sorry, that's totally a joke. I just made that up.
Got me on that.
Yep.
But that's what
that was really
Titus O'Neil involved in that.
Damn it.
That would have been cool, though, right? It would have been a good
cool.
use of drums, a way better use of drums.
And they're going to send Hulk Hogan there to...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Cut the ribbon on these schools. Get in there and learn.
Get in there. As long as you N-words don't date my daughter.
The Hogan Titus O'Neil things were just corny as shit, weren't they?
Oh my God. There was a moment.
Those are the hosts.
Hogan
and Titus.
I guess they were. I didn't hear, but I guess they were booing the shit out of Hulk there, and they like turned the mics down or they were adjusting. But I guess every time Hogan showed up, they did a good job booing him, I guess.
Yeah, actually, so there was 2 things from those segments I had noted. One was when Hogan came out one time, he and Titus were dressed like pirates.
Yeah,
Hogan goes ho ho ho, har har har, in like he could not have been asked to show any enthusiasm, you could tell. And then you got Titus over there smiling, going for it, being like, "Yeah, this is corny, but I don't care. I'm done with it."
Yep, I'm getting paid. I ain't gotta take any bumps.
But Charlie, you're spot on. There was actually booing whenever Hogan would start talking. You could tell the crowd was booing him really loud, and they did turn the mics down. And then you hear Titus start talking, and the crowd would start cheering really loudly.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so. I mean,
they have smart fans, man. I'm glad.
Well, we all know. I mean, the whole Hogan controversy, but it's like how freaking like pandering to like, oh, we're gonna have Hulk Hogan with a black guy, like, and that'll make it all better. And it's just like
the main guy who complained about him too.
Yeah, a guy who had issues with it. It just was kind of icky.
And it was weird too because there's a bunch of like people dressed up as Hulk Hogan out in the crowd that I noticed on night 2.
Like
maybe they inserted those people as plants to get the crowd because they are known to do that, to like start chants and shit like that. I guarantee they tried to do some damage control from night 1. I wouldn't put it past them.
It didn't work.
Florida.
No.
Yep, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Yep, it's Florida, dude. I wouldn't get too hyped up that they did that. It's probably just Florida.
Well, I wasn't too hyped for Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. As much as I like Rhea Ripley and as much as I like Asuka, this match I wasn't really excited about because mostly I don't think they could top what Bianca and Sasha did the night before. Plus this chemistry and the lack of story, a rush story, gave it no substance. And you kind of knew that Rhea Ripley, they want her to have the belt. She was getting pretty emotional on night 1 too. She was crying. when the fans were cheering, when Vince was giving the speech, or when they were singing the national anthem. So maybe she was feeling it. That could have been a little bit of a tell that, like, hey, I'm here, I'm young, I'm in front of the fans once again, I'm gonna be the champion. She could have let her emotions out a little too early. Rhea Ripley did defeat Asuka, but this match just did not click.
No,
in my opinion,
definitely didn't.
Because there was nothing. Yeah, you're right. You hit the nail on the head. There was no story, nothing. You need more in wrestling. Like Ole's got everybody. 3/4 of the Raw roster or the WWE roster is talented. Rhea Ripley and Asuka are great wrestlers, but you need more than that. And there was nothing. I mean, she just came out and challenged her a couple weeks ago, and no story was attempted. And that's what happens when you do that. It was just not a compelling match. I mean, they did the right things in the ring and it was interesting, but there was just no emotion in this match whatsoever. And once again, Asuka, like probably one of the best women wrestlers of our time, like just keeps losing in the big moments, and it's weird. But not to say Rhea Ripley doesn't deserve it. She's got the world of a future in front of her, but this match was just a whole lot of nothing because they didn't put anything into it.
Right.
Well said.
Yeah, and I think this is why Vince is just so dedicated to Charlotte, to being that main event girl, because it's tried and true, and he won't get out, and they just don't he won't get out of that box.
Yeah, that's why Reigns is gonna. So he's gonna burn up Reigns. Watch. It's not. He's gonna get. He got some heel heat last night, but in time when crowds come back, he'll be getting go away heat. Watch. Because he's winning and getting over everybody. No one gets anything on him. Give it time. They're gonna turn on him.
You talking about Roman Reigns?
Yeah. Sorry, I went back to it. Sorry, but I'm just saying. I'm talking about Charlotte. She's gonna get the go away heat, and so in time Reigns will too. Because like you said, he goes back to his tried and trues over and over and over again. He doesn't do anything new. He always falls back to him.
Yep.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. You can only go back to the well so many times.
Like Drew is going to be one of his guys. Like, next month Drew's winning that title probably. I'm really surprised he didn't win it at Mania, but he's going to win. He's winning that title next month.
Huh.
We will see.
What do you think, Steve? You don't think he will?
I don't know. I mean, I think I certainly wouldn't bet money against what you just said. That's probably true because he does seem to have more emotional investment in Drew McIntyre.
Oh, that's his boy.
That's the same thing. And I guess taking it back to the match we're talking about. What does that leave for Rhea Ripley? You got Charlotte. She already returned on Raw tonight.
She'll be doing the job for her too.
How long is Rhea going to hold this title before they go to Charlotte or Becky or one of the tried and trues? I'd like to think Rhea will get a long run, but the odds are against her.
To your point, they did all the right things in the ring. It's everything we've seen from Rhea Ripley before. Asuka was on point with her submission game, which she used to be all the time in NXT. I feel like that hasn't been the case lately, but now it is again. But yeah, without the emotion, this match just kind of fell flat to me, which is unfortunate because had there been that, I think it would have put Rhea over as this really powerful force to be reckoned with. But right now, she just kind of feels like a placeholder champion.
Right. We shall see what the future brings for young Rhea Ripley. Somebody who is not young, though, is Edge. Daniel Bryan, Paul Heyman, and kind of getting up there now, Roman Reigns. That was our headliner for night 2 of WrestleMania. Highly anticipated. I thought there wasn't a chance in hell that Roman Reigns would drop the title to Edge or Daniel Bryan.
And he didn't.
It was kind of we all thought Edge had no chance. I think our picks were kind of split.
I think I picked Edge stupidly, but
I picked Bryan.
I don't know. There was just this feeling that right out of the gate with Jimmy Uso coming out and Edge slowly walking down to the ring. It was just like, God damn, we're going to hear this music as the last theme music of the night of WrestleMania again, all the time, every pay-per-view. It never fails. And, this match wasn't bad. It was nowhere near good. I mean, the match finished, after a bunch of moves, the same old shit, some spears, some Superman punch. Well, plenty of spears because Edge is in there. So that's spears times 2, some kicks, some knee drops from Bryan. Ah, man. I mean, it was just kind of all the run of the mill moves that you're used to seeing. But the way that it ended was Roman Reigns pinning both Edge and Daniel Bryan at the same time to be the head of the table and continue his reign as champ. Kind of a stale way to end the show, but you could kind of see it coming.
I should have known. I should have known better. Yep, I should have known better.
Same.
This whole WrestleMania night 2 was kind of a shit club sandwich, and this match was kind of the olive and the toothpick at the top, just to cut in diagonal slices.
Yep.
That's a great food analogy, even though it was a shit club sandwich. Yeah, there were some moments in this match where I feel like I could have sworn Daniel Bryan was going to be the guy to win it because there were a lot of shades of WrestleMania 30 where he wasn't really involved in the match all that much, but then when he would get involved again, he would just go on a roll and you're thinking, oh man, this is it. He's going to do it. And then he'd get bumped out again. So a lot of the same way they worked WrestleMania 30, but then in the end we realized, oh no, he was just kind of like the fly that kept irritating the two big guys in the ring. So, yeah, unfortunately Vince, went back to what works. And, in all honesty, I think the way they've built Roman Reigns, I don't know that either Edge or Daniel Bryan would have been the right person to beat Roman Reigns. At least not in a triple threat match. Even going into this match, I think the triple threat element is really what kind of turned me off to the whole thing. I think if it was a one-on-one match, I would have been more open to the idea of Roman losing the belt. But given this case, there just seemed like too much wiggle room and shenanigans for that to happen. And that's exactly what we got. So
I just don't see a title being on Edge at all. Edge is in still great shape, but he does just look like an old weathered sailor. Like he looks old.
He's wearing it on his face, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
He had it on his face last night. You could really tell, man.
Yeah. Like he's old man strong. You know what I mean? Like he's still in great shape, but he's not the spring chicken. I mean, put a picture of Edge when he had his like dumbass sunglasses when he was in Brood in his hair, and put it next to this Edge.
Two different guys.
It's night and day, and you can't really build your company on that, especially when you're moving to a new media outlet too.
That's true.
Yeah, the belt's gonna hang on Roman. I hate to hear that theme music again to close the show, but that's just what we get. That's what we're used to.
The only thing I'm more sick of is freaking Uso. Like it's just
he was a clown in that match.
That's just it. Like Roman's
did his job.
Like this. Yeah, he did his job, but he's just that's a good word. He's a clown.
Like
as he was walking down the when they announced,
dude, we said that too, and he just kept
he's sitting there like this dumbass,
and
he kept doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like he's
kind of down, dude.
Yeah, he's kind of crap. It's like I think, like I don't know. I think you could have a better henchman than his grinning idiot face. Like
if that was a move to make you want to hate him, they did a good job.
I guess it did work because I really hated him last night.
Oh yeah, sitting here, I was annoyed.
It's constant interference, and it's like And I kind of feel like I know it's wrestling, and you're not supposed to overthink this stuff, but sometimes I feel like wrestlers are stupid. Like Edge and Daniel Bryan had the odds against them because Roman Reigns came out with two people. Why wouldn't they just concentrate on just
beating him up
to the point where he was out of the match? But no, they're not smart enough to do that. And it's just I don't know. Again, that's a light criticism. But
have you seen Reigns? That guy he's $1 million face. I can make money with this guy. I'm gonna get him over. If anybody can, I can. You see what I did with my WWF? Like horrible Vince imitation, but
no, Charlie, that was fantastic.
That's him. But I mean, that's his attitude. I can get him over.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'll say about this match, how many years in a row now have we seen Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania?
Dude, probably 10?
All of them.
It sure feels like it. I think though, this was the first WrestleMania where the crowd has always boos Roman Reigns, but now he's actually a heel, cut and dry.
That's true.
And he was able to actually yell back at the crowd, taunt them, do heelish things in response to the booing. And I think there was some satisfaction in that versus him kind of, having this look on his face like, oh man, they really don't like me. What do I do? How do I be more of a baby face? Like that just did not work for years. And I think this finally worked. Now, granted, still annoying because what's really happening behind the scenes, but there is a little bit, I can tolerate it a little bit more with Roman as this character.
Yeah, that's true. Where do they go from here? Oh, go ahead.
The one last thing that as much as disinterested I would be in this match, the one thing that did bring me back, I did think about it. Roman Reigns comes back from leukemia. Daniel Bryan comes back from like a soldered neck. Edge comes back from these are all three men, great wrestlers that shouldn't be in the ring, and they are, and they're headlining WrestleMania. So I guess that's a nice positive.
That is true.
Like a good feel-good story. I'm a sucker for comeback stories. I love them, but that's, I think, what they should have built this match upon, is not like so much what you've seen already and like what they're going to do to one another, but like the fact that they're there and really just make a moment out of it. Just the fact that they're capable of putting on a match. So I don't know. I think it was poorly booked. I think this whole WWE WrestleMania Night 2 was kind of a WWE run-of-the-mill Raw show. There's nothing else to say. This WrestleMania was 50-50, cut and dry.
Kind of
was.
Night
1. Night 2 was just sucked, in my opinion.
Just like their booking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 50-50 booking. That's it. You nailed it.
But yeah, it was great chatting with you boys about WrestleMania Night 2.
Always love to trash the trash.
Big time. Yeah, is it garbage day or what? We had a lot to trash about on our bonus episode.
That's all right. They're gonna be in the house that Jerry built next year, and it's gonna be epic. And we're probably gonna see the 800-year-old Undertaker make one more show in Texas.
Probably will.
Oh yeah, good point.
Oh yeah, speak real quick before we wrap up. Did you guys hear the rumor too? There weren't really 25,000 people in there. They never sold out.
Oh, they claimed they did.
What's that?
They claimed they did.
Oh, they always claim the biggest crowd. But yeah, what I had heard, and this is from the guys, Brian Alvarez and those guys, that they sold hot the first day, and then they never finished. They never sold out. There were tickets to be bought. They never really sold out. They're sold their 25,000 for each night.
That's interesting. Maybe. You could see if you looked at like the second level in the stadium, you could tell it was all cardboard cutouts, and then they would have real people kind of mixed in.
Yeah,
and
they had a lot of people down low.
Yeah, the third level was all just dubbed in from like graphics with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Pretty cool.
It's just smart. Yeah,
it looked good.
It looked good on TV. It makes it look good on TV.
Maybe that's why they went all out for Night 1, was to try to sell more tickets for Night 2.
Well, these suckers and losers at bottom are feeling the pain.
Big time. Well, boys, I think that should do it for this week's episode of our bonus coverage of Night 2 of WrestleMania. Thank you so much for following us on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to follow us on Instagram. And boys, stay humble, stay hungry, and stay hard.
Triple H!
Woo!